get the program started in about a minute, but I wanted to first say thank you to those who are hopping in now for joining us and planning to spend your time with us today during the next hour learning about AI and HubSpot. So again, we'll begin in just a moment. And thank you for joining us. If you want to take a second, grab a fresh cup of coffee, make sure your water is topped off, or in Matt's case, your spiked water. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we'll get started here in just a moment, everybody. Thank you. I think that was almost an invisible cup. That was interesting. That's power right there. That's the Hubvolution in a cup. All right, so we are just about 10 seconds away from getting started with our program today. So again, thanks everybody for joining. Looks like we're going to have our other panelists hopping in here in just a second as well. All righty, everyone. I am so excited that you are joining us today. My name is Doug Wendt. I'm the President and Chief Growth Officer at Wendt Partners. I'm joining you from the incredibly awesome and amazing borough of Queens in the heart of New York City, New York. I want to thank you for joining us and spending the next hour with us exploring the topic of the day, week, month, year, maybe more, which of course is artificial intelligence and AI. And we're going to be focusing on how AI can help fuel sales and sales success with some powerful tools and some powerful practices, specifically in the HubSpot universe with HubSpot software, as well as the CEOs of two really awesome companies who are helping drive, and I'm going to steal the hashtag from Matt's backgrounder there, the Hubvolution. I got to give full credit where credit's due. I love it, Matt. You are definitely driving the Hubvolution. So we are excited to dig in. We're going to talk about a number of things today. But really what I want you to think about as an attendee is, what are different ways that I could take some of these tools and practices, maybe choose one and implement it right away and start seeing success very, very quickly. And there are a couple different ways we're going to approach that. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about capabilities that HubSpot has already rolled out that are available today. And then we're going to talk about some of the other capabilities that are being developed by partners in the ecosystem of HubSpot. At Wendt Partners, we're a solution implementation partner. So our job is to help you make the most of HubSpot and other tools that sit on the HubSpot platform. I am joined by two esteemed guests. The one I'm going to introduce right now is Matt Bolian. Matt is the CEO and co-founder of Superd. And Superd is a truly revolutionary sales acceleration, sales enablement tool set for the HubSpot environment. I'm also joined by Mike Adams, the CEO of Grain. Grain is a platform that allows you to get incredible depth and intelligence out of every meeting that you have and automate a lot of the follow-up activities and help provide intelligence to the next steps. Because at the end of the day, sales is about conversations, and conversations happen in meetings. So welcome, Matt. Welcome, Mike. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar.
Great to be here.
Awesome.
Doug, it is a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's begin by talking a little bit about what the heck is AI, and then we'll talk a little bit about, let me just get my screen set up, and then we'll talk a little bit about the different key components that make AI a power tool for sales and marketing. Before I dig into that, I just want to mention a couple of key housekeeping and items. Number one, we will stop and complete this program exactly at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're really good about that, so we value your time. We're going to use 100% of it, and we're going to end exactly on time. Number two, there'll be some time for Q&A at the end, but also if you have a question at any point during the program, please feel free to click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom webinar screen, ask a question there, and we'll either type an answer, but typically what we'll do is I'll insert it into the conversation as your host today, and we'll make sure to discuss it. So feel free to share any questions that you have in the Q&A. Last but not least, we will be sharing a copy of the recording for this program so that you can share it with other colleagues as well as review it yourself. So without further ado, let's start talking AI and HubSpot. So I think you probably know, but let me just first establish two things. What is HubSpot? What is AI? So HubSpot is a world-class platform for driving business customer experiences. And we tend to focus on sales, marketing, and customer service as the three sort of platform applications. We may actually talk about some additional applications today, but those are the three primary areas. We want to acquire customers, want to communicate with customers, we want to keep customers happy. Those are sort of the three core components. Then the question is, well, what is it that AI has to do with this? And I think it's important to make a distinction here, which is why I brought up this blog article. I'll make sure to share the link from this in the post-program communications. A lot of good content from HubSpot, not only about what HubSpot's doing with AI, but just about what you need to know as a business decision maker about AI. So what you see here is a walkthrough by HubSpot of what is this AI technology? And I'm going to show you two elements of it. We're going to talk about, particularly with Mike and Matt, both sides of AI that are relevant to today's discussion. The one that's getting the most attention is generative AI. Generative AI is basically the ability of computer machine learning technology to take prompts and give you content, images, and other media in response to your prompt. So it's generating content. Whether it's generating new content, whether it's generating quasi-new content, however you define new, that's a long-standing debate, but that's the idea, is that we're creating content that you can use in a number of contexts. That's generative AI. And then I would also say we're also talking about embedded AI. And this is a really important distinction because I find a lot of people don't even realize they're already using AI technology in HubSpot and other tools because it's doing exactly what you want it to do. It's operating so smoothly in the background, you don't even realize it. You know, when I pick up my iPhone, my brain doesn't say to me, hey, I am currently using iOS. Right? It just happens. I'm doing things in the applications, I'm doing things in the platform, and in the background, it's running all these processes to make my life easier. You can think of embedded AI in the same way. So we're actually going to show examples of both as we dig into the role of HubSpot and HubSpot related applications in achieving AI success. So again, there are a number of really important and useful and informative articles in the HubSpot blog. There's also a complete report that HubSpot published, and both of these were actually just updated in the last week on the state of AI. In this case, this report is on the state of AI in marketing. Obviously, I think that's a pretty big use case because generative AI is creating content. Content is a core component in today's marketing environment, but by no means is that the only application. So again, we'll bookmark and share both of these links with you. HubSpot as a company has been on the absolute forefront of the AI revolution. In fact, before ChatGPT was even in the common vocabulary, HubSpot had and continues to develop embedded AI capability. What HubSpot has also done is create two specific tools that I'm going to briefly demonstrate and talk about here that address generative AI, which is that side of AI when a human's going to initiate a conversation essentially with the AI tool and get a response and then refine that response. But we're going to show you the power of both in the environment of the HubSpot CRM. To do that, I also want to point out that if you go to HubSpot.com, literally just HubSpot.com/AI, the entire roadmap for the HubSpot platform and its AI development and capabilities is being provided to the public. So you have a roadmap here that I'm just going to highlight a couple key components on. Those who are really close to the HubSpot world know that Dharmesh Shah, the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer of HubSpot, is one of the world's most recognized leaders in developing new AI technology and basically created a team specifically to lead the charge in this direction. But I think I want to emphasize the diverse nature of AI's role in the HubSpot platform. There's a lot of words. I'm just going to highlight a key points here. You know, content, we talked about that already, but also making SEO suggestions. You know, that's not as simple as giving you a response to a question. Now we're doing analysis and looking at use cases and making recommendations. Testing, helping me in the point of need. So, you know, when you're at the cash register at the store, we talk about point of sale. well, this is point of need, right? I'm about to send a sales email and I'm really struggling with how to phrase something. Having AI assist me in that application. But then also things that happen in the background. For example, data quality and data cleansing. Looking at information in email, for example, taking a look at an email signature, identifying, even though the word phone number may not be there, and it might be an international number, it may not be formatted the way we're expecting, but the AI recognizing that, capturing and putting that into the database. So there are a lot of different applications for AI. And what's important to understand is HubSpot has already roadmapped how we're going to incorporate AI across the platform. So that brings us right into a couple of actual applications of AI. I've picked just a few here that I'm going to give you a little bit of a sense of. The first one that I'm going to talk a little bit about is chat flows. So a lot of people don't even know. It's sort of the frighteningly best kept secret in HubSpot land, which is that you're actually able to build entire websites and web applications on the HubSpot platform. Our own website at Wendt Partners is built on the HubSpot CMS, a content management system. So this is all running inside HubSpot. But one of the functions here is, of course, our website chat. And if you look on the backside of HubSpot, and by the way, this also runs on any other website, you can embed HubSpot chat functions on any website. It doesn't have to be a HubSpot hosted site. But in addition to live chat, we have bot functionality. So we can create not only programmed, but also AI assisted conversational flows. And one of the ones that was talked about earlier in the product roadmap was knowledge base and support. So, there are straightforward questions where we're trying to sort of have the system prompt you. I give a response like I can't log into the app, and the system is hopefully determining what the best response is. But where AI is coming in is going beyond just sort of matching and actually trying to determine nuance and tone and sense. And maybe you might ask two questions in one. I'm struggling to log in and I've had problems before with my email. Okay, that would stump a non-AI assisted chat tool. But with the AI capabilities from HubSpot, we're able to start adding that nuance to your chat flows. So this is a very simple area that you're able to start using AI functionality today. Okay. And again, actually, everything I'm showing you is not stuff that is waiting for tomorrow. It's stuff that's available today. So I'll actually show you another example here. I'm going to just pull up our subdomain, so it's not going to have any content here. But another area of AI assistance in the SEO, in the platform, is in the SEO capabilities, which are inside Marketing Hub. So again, one thing that's really important to note, I think a lot of people struggle with this. There's an enormous amount that you can get out of HubSpot no matter what edition you're on. So most of the AI functionality is available in virtually every edition. And a lot of it's available even in Starter Edition. The other thing to know is things like the SEO tools, the chatbot tools, don't require you to be using HubSpot CMS. There are advantages to doing that, but you don't have to. When you do SEO analysis, the software will use its AI, embedded AI functionality to make recommendations, just like an area that we're just starting to dig into, and that I know with Mike's help, we're going to explore even in further depth, extending beyond HubSpot today, which is calls. There's almost nothing more demanding right now for me as the person who is not only the CEO, but also the head of sales in our company, than tracking and managing calls and determining what we need to learn from calls. So call management in HubSpot is something that Mike and his team are actually extending on top of. But one of the things that HubSpot has added is a new function called coaching playlists. So you can select calls from a call library or give prompts for why HubSpot should select them, place them into a playlist, and then you can review those playlists. And the system is analyzing for tone, it's analyzing for keywords, it's analyzing for who said more, who said less. How are we, utilizing this conversation to achieve our goals? Again, AI operating in the background. So everything I've shared so far, chat flows, SEO, calls, coaching, playlist review. These are all examples of embedded AI where you don't have to do a thing. It's just happening. It's adding value to your business process in the native HubSpot functionality. The other side of the equation now is actually utilizing generative AI. So this is where I'm telling HubSpot to do a thing. And in that environment, I'm going to select something to action. In this particular case, I just created an example for us to get started. This is running an hour blog. So this is just a draft. I grabbed the content from the invitation that everybody here responded to be at today's webinar. And this is the content. Well, let's take a look at what HubSpot AI can do for me. I can grab this content here, and I can tell HubSpot that I want to change the tone. I'm just looking for, oh, there it is. So there's this icon here. Let's rewrite it. Okay, so now it has given me sentence version rather than bullet points, and I can just insert that. So now I've created a different format. What if I want to expand upon it? So I can expand or shorten content. I can change the tone of the content. As you'll see in a minute, I can also change the add additional subtopics to the content. So all of this, I did that just with the existing content, changing it in real time. This is HubSpot's Content Assistant. Let's rewrite it, and then I'm going to change the tone. And I've done all that with a few clicks. So, of course, the thing that a lot of people forget about this whole generative AI revolution is you have to start by having a good conversation with the AI tool. All right. What I think humans are struggling with is we're at that point where we've been sort of given so much of a sense of the power of this. We're like, I have a thought in my head. It's almost like it's a magician. Guess what number, what card I'm thinking about in the deck. That's not how AI works. You need to engage with it and have a conversation with it, or give it something to respond to and work against. So now it's changing the tone to witty, because apparently I'm not a very witty person. There we go. So from experience the revolutionary impact, which is very Doug writing, to get blown away by the game-changing impact of HubSpot's AI capabilities. Boom. So this is Content Assistant. We also have a tool, again, these are all native HubSpot functions today, called ChatSpot. And ChatSpot is that conversational prompting tool. So I gave it an example. I gave it a prompt to create an article that highlights the characteristics of the HubSpot API for ERP integrations. It wrote one. And then I said, can you give me more details around ERP integrations? It provided additional information. And then I said, can you write a follow-on article about the transition from API keys to private apps? This is all technical stuff. So I'm not expecting our audience members to memorize this. There's no test at the end. The point is, with one click, I can actually put that into HubSpot. So now here is that draft blog article. So I asked ChatSpot to give me a response to a prompt. Now I'm going to edit it and review it, make sure it meets our tone. And of course, this is a draft, and there's a reason it's a draft. Our experience is that generative AI is exactly what HubSpot calls it, an assistant. It's not a replacement. What we need it to do is assist us in developing effective content, matching tone, being focused on anything that our researcher might not have caught, so that we're gathering additional value and obviously gaining time back. But this isn't where it ends. Now we edit, we review, we do our own review to determine is there anything else we want to add, make sure it meets our objectives, and then publish. But I literally did that with one click. And ChatSpot, again, this is all standard functionality available today. Nothing in here I'm showing you is like waiting to be released. Even though ChatSpot's in beta, it's in public beta, so it's available for use today. We can give it company insights. We can run reports. So it'll actually create reports in my HubSpot CRM for me. Prospecting information. So help me identify companies that meet certain requirements. And last but not least, that I wanted to actually show you is I'm going to send Matt an email, and I'm in Gmail. This also works in Outlook. And I want to go ahead here and have some help writing the email. So I'm going to click on this new function. This is now generative AI. And I want to do let's do a follow-up email. What am I selling? The power of HubSpot CRM. Who am I selling to? The CEO. Let's discuss how you can benefit from AI inside your CRM. Let's make it helpful. And now we're generating this on the fly. Okay, there we go. And actually, it kind of caught my tone pretty well. This is very similar to like how I would write an email. This sounds very Doug. So I was able to do this on the spot. I can insert the content. I'll just throw the subject line up there and I'm ready to go. In fact, I'll actually send this to Matt and he can verify that it feels like Doug sat down and really worked on crafting an email just for him. There you go, Matt. Boom. All right. So let's just summarize. Matt's like, did I really get that email? He did send that. Oh my gosh, he really did. So let's just summarize. There are two approaches to AI that HubSpot is focused on here. One is what I just showed you. That's the thing everybody sees because it involves a human starting the action. Tell me about, research for me. Matt's like, he's like, why didn't you include a HubSpot payment link? I'm ready to buy today. That email was so incredible. I don't even need to talk. Let's just skip the conversation, right, Matt? Awesome. So, that's the part that we see in the press that we talk about. HubSpot has that. It's available today. Check your portal. Message us if you're having any trouble finding it, because if you're in HubSpot, it's there. The second part is also there. You just don't see it. And it is that background work. It is that embedded AI that is adding value across the platform, reducing clicks, reducing steps, adding power and accuracy to activities, whether it's SEO analysis, whether it's data quality, data cleansing, whether it is extracting analytics information from call recordings. That's the power of AI. What I've been focusing on is what we can do just with core functionality inside HubSpot today. As you can see, there's an enormous amount there to dig into. Now, what I'd like to do is talk about what some of the most powerful companies in the HubSpot ecosystem have been doing to take this to the whole next level. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to do two things with AI. Number one, and this is where Mike's going to hop in, we're trying to make your process more effective and give you more intelligence to make better decisions. And that process theme, then we're going to have Matt talk about how we can actually embed your sales process into HubSpot. So we're literally guiding the user in what to do next to make their sales day as effective as possible. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mike Adams, the CEO of Grain, who's going to spend about the next 15 minutes or so walking us through a little bit of Grain's vision, its capabilities, and what Grain has done to really master creating a unified solution for HubSpot. And by the way, I just have to say before I hand the baton over, at Wendt Partners, we use Grain. We're a Grain partner. We're a Grain believer. And I want to thank you, Meg, for joining us today.
Yeah, great to be here, Doug. Excited to talk about the capabilities of, I would say, Grain plus HubSpot in the context of automating workflows. What we've really seen is just this really incredible revolution of the automation of busy work. So one of the things that I've heard as the most accurate description of kind of the capabilities of generative AI today is it's less of an Einstein and more of like 10 interns. And so you wouldn't expect it to, figure out the theory of relativity for you, but it can, summarize your emails and generate your emails for you. It can summarize your meetings. It can find the information that you're looking for in a specific, workflow. And the more that you know exactly what it is that you want to do, just like Doug was talking about as an assistant, the more likely you are to get that power and that leverage out of generative AI tools. So what I'm going to demonstrate is specifically the context of meetings that are captured in Grain and then ultimately pushed into workflows that result in, say, the example we're going to look at is a contact record being updated in HubSpot so that you don't have to do that at all. And being able to customize those prompts so that the output that actually gets put into your notes is exactly the information that you want to pull out of any given meeting. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of start with a demo. And so what we're going to look at is this is Grain. So Grain has a desktop application and a web application. They're more or less one and the same. And so the the desktop application makes it really easy to like ad hoc join meetings. But one of the things how Grain works is it's calendar based, so that you tell it which types of meetings that you want to join. And you might even say, you know what, don't auto record any of my meetings. And I just want to kind of tell Grain exactly which ones I want to record. I want to record this one. It's a recurring event, so let's actually record all instances of that. And so that's kind of step number one if you're to be able to get any leverage out of generative AI for your meeting workflows, is that you really have to start by capturing the data. So one of the things that I've talked about, Grain is about 5 years old, and I've been talking about for 5 years, is that you have to start in order to get leverage, you have to start by capturing the data and information. And I don't think it's yet, it's definitely not yet, I would say mainstream in the same way that it is to save your emails or to, save your chat messages. Before Slack, IRC messages would just kind of disappear once they were set. And Slack turned it into this, repository where you can search and find old conversations. Grain is doing the same thing for any meeting types. And so it'll detect basically any Zoom, Meet, or Teams links that you have, and then you can record any of those meetings. So if we look at my library, so Grain works both in a personal mode and in a team mode. So this is my library, which is the combination of things that I have recorded and things that have been shared with me that others have recorded, but they've been explicitly shared with me. Grain also has this concept of a library that you can automatically push. Usually what we do is we push all of our sales calls and our customer feedback and our customer research calls into the shared space so that everybody has access. And so we'll look at like an individual meeting. And I had this business development meeting with Jean on Tuesday of this week. And this is the transcript over here on the right. And one of the things that Grain has done in our interface is made it a perfect correlation between the video and the audio, the transcript text, and then the AI generated summary notes of the meeting. So as an example of that, if I click on a moment in the transcript, it'll navigate me to that point in the audio and the video. If I look at the timeline and I want to see this part where Gene spoke, I can navigate to that specific part of the meeting, and then and read and watch that at the same time. If I want to be able to collaborate on top of this moment, I can select the text in the transcript, and Grain uses generative AI to actually self-title this content, which is just this 26 seconds to create a highlight that then can be shared anywhere. And so hopefully that gives you a little bit of a sense of how like the core functionality of Grain works across these different pieces of, I would say, core media that can be reviewed, shared, or turned into assets, both for record keeping and for like follow-up activities, like sending a follow-up email, which we will also demonstrate. So the thing I want to draw attention to is this notes section down here. So this section's about 3 or 4 months old in Grain. It's publicly available for anybody who tries it. And every meeting by default gets 3 sections, kind of the TLDR summary. So it says meeting discussed feedback of their product, specifically focusing on speech to text solutions, might emphasize the importance of their AI summaries. So this was Gene actually doing the customer research on me as this prospective, customer, and I can then navigate to any of those specific moments. But Gene is also a customer of mine. And so after this meeting is over, I want to make sure that I have a record of our meetings. And that I don't have to go in and manually update my deal notes. So what Grain will do is, because Gene is in my record, is a contact in my HubSpot, we can click on view contact and we can see Gene's record here. And then under notes, Grain has automatically taken that AI summary output and added it as a note on the on the contract record, which would then also, be associated with the deal anytime there is a deal as well. And so hopefully that gives a bit of a sense of this workflow of adding Grain to capture and record the call, and then connecting HubSpot to be able to identify and match meetings that happen with contact records to create either deal notes, or you can also have it update the description in the meeting text. So that's not the way I have mine set up, but you can choose that as an option as well. The thing that we're working on next is the ability to actually enrich your HubSpot fields with the specific information that you want to pull out of any given meeting. So if I look back at, let's look at a meeting that I've had with Doug. Doug, let's see. If I search for people and I look at Doug's. Let's see. Like it looks like actually I don't have any directly with Doug. I think that they must be the ones that are in the library. So we'll go back to this one with Gene. And we look at actually there's specific information that I want to pull out of this meeting. I can actually either add any of these kind of pre-baked sections that that can summarize information from the transcript data, or I can even generate my own custom section. So something I might want to know about this meeting is, what are the key insights that Gene gathered from Mike in this meeting? And so the generative AI will actually use this transcript data context window to pull out that information in summary form, and then it can be added as a section to those notes. And then when those notes are shared, they can then be, so these are the key insights. So Mike mentions the value of transcripts, identifies the different teams, talks a little bit about competitors. And so now I can add that as a section. And if I go to like copy my notes and share them, that will now be included as one of the sections. So Gene's insights from Mike, that is included in those notes, in addition to the basic ones like summary and key points and next steps. So there's
I just got to say, wow, Mike, keep going. That's awesome.
This is brand new. So unlike what Doug was saying about HubSpot, that's publicly available in beta, we're about a week, maybe 2 from pushing this into public beta. But anybody that's on this webinar, please just shoot me an email afterwards. I'm mike@grain.co, and I'd be happy to turn these beta flags on so that you can try the custom sections yourself. So the thing that is in beta for us is specifically this custom section. And then the next thing, which is, hey, actually, you know what? I have 5 or 6 custom sections that I always want to run for certain types of calls. And so I might actually say, you know what, this is a sales discovery call. And then I can run the set of sales discovery questions, which are like the qualification framework, like customer needs and competition and budget and stakeholders. And then that becomes the payload that can be associated with my updates in HubSpot, so that I'm not just putting the generic update, but I'm actually putting the information that's been pulled out that's specific to my qualification framework or the research that I'm doing and the questions I'm trying to answer across the 10 calls that I'm having. And each of these notes templates can have custom prompts added to them. So you could create a template completely from scratch that is like, we'll say it's customer research, new product. And I want to apply this template to all of the instances of my of the research project that I'm going to do. So I would click, okay, I'll add a summary. Let's do the key points, and let's also see if there's any next steps. But specifically, what I want in here is, what was the reaction to the AI functionality? And oops, actually, sorry, I need to click create new section. I was putting that as a search. AI functionality. And then now that can become one of the prompts that gets run against every call that I apply that template to. And so this one is looking at, my most recent call, but let's see, this call with Ryan Buick. Let's see if there was any AI functionality discussed. So not in that one. And I think there was in this one here. So what was the reaction to AI functionality? These weren't specific research calls, but there you go. There actually was a response. There was content in this transcript about the AI functionality. So that's awesome. That's what I want to add to, this template. I click create, and then I can go into any given call. And then, so like, for example, that one, and then I can change the basic meeting to this customer research, and then it will generate that functionality, it will generate the output to be in line with the information I'm trying to pull out for this specific type of call. So like one more example of this is like our all hands meeting. We have a culture at our all hands of doing shout outs. So when we applied the all hands template, it has, the basics, any next steps, but it also has all of the shout outs, and which is something that we really, value in our culture. Is you'll notice most of these are towards the end of the meeting. Is at the end of every meeting we shout those out, and it's really important that we document those so that we have an understanding of recognition of each other. So the prompt that I wrote was list all of the shout outs that happen in this meeting, and here they all are. And last thing worth showing is that in any given one of these instances, you can turn that into a highlight in one click. And then now I might even share with an individual like, hey, you missed the meeting, but you got shouted out. Here's the 4 to 10 seconds where Ella was shouting you out. And so Grain is designed, I would say, to be a tool that can be used across internal meetings, external meetings. But I would say the primary use cases that we've seen are these HubSpot oriented ones where there is a contact record that you are interacting with, and that you want to be able to automatically make sure that is being documented, so that you don't have to manually rely on your memory or notes, and you still get the information that you actually want into and associated with those records. The process I just went through is I was a little bit behind on my sales pipeline. And because we've had this AI automation set up for the last, it's been about a month and a half, I went and looked at the last 6 weeks of calls, and I couldn't remember every call. But because every call was logged as a note on the contact record, it became extremely easy for me to remember the content of that deal, the status of the deal, the number of licenses they were looking for. And then it would have literally been an impossible task for me to kind of like go backwards and try to remember 6 weeks worth of calls. But because every call was sitting there, I just like popped it open. I navigated a little bit. I asked some custom prompts like how many seats or licenses were mentioned in this call. It said it was actually at 2532 where we talked about 8 licenses. Great. This is 8 licenses. Now 8 times price per seat, equals the deal amount. And so that flow took me maybe 2 hours when it would have taken like 2 days if I had to manually log, or it would have been impossible if I didn't have those recordings at all. So I'll kind of stop there, but a little bit of a real world example of generative AI in the call and meeting recording space, as relates to, HubSpot.
Mike, I want to say 2 really key things, just sort of playing off what you shared. Point number 1, you've obliterated this line that I started out being so proud of, talking about between embedding AI and generative AI. What you've done is you've embedded generative AI. Your software is analyzing the call, determining what it thinks needs to be generating, allowing a human to tell it based upon the kind of meeting, structure your generative process in this manner so that the output gives me the most human helpful information that I can. Like, you've eliminated that distinction effortlessly. And I can tell you in our work with the tool that I am extremely impressed. And we covered it so quickly. I want to just make sure and put a pin on it for everyone to go back and really marinate on. If you go back in the recording of this meeting, attendees, and you watch the section where he was showing the notes that are generated by the Grain platform, it reads like a human sat there and wrote a really well-structured, thoughtful, and intelligent meeting summary that I can work with. And that whole ability to grab those highlights, whether by a human or by automation, there are so many potential powerful benefits of that. The last thing I want to say, Mike showed everyone here, he was seamlessly operating inside HubSpot or in Grain without any having to think about it. One click, you're in HubSpot. Automatically, Grain's putting the right information in the right record in HubSpot. You guys have even thought about how different people use HubSpot. So do I want to put this information on the contact, on the deal? Do I want to put it as a meeting record or as a note? Right. So the thoughtfulness of what you're doing really shows the power of the HubSpot platform and of a partner like Grain that takes that platform to 11. You guys have done an amazing job, and I'm looking forward to digging in deeper. With that, Mike, we're going to hand it over to Matt, who's
Sounds
going to
great.
talk about enabling the human factor, utilizing the power of the tools that we've talked about, but overlaying the ability to guide salespeople by analyzing what's actually happening in HubSpot against the sales process, using the power of Supered, which is the product that Matt and his team have developed to drive the Hubolution. So with that, I turn it over to you, Matt.
Yeah, what up, everybody? I'm gonna get in.
There we go. We got the super hat. All right.
Yeah, this is I only do demos in the hat. It's awkward, but it's awesome. So I'm gonna this big picture and even what Mike's doing there. By the way, I am a Grain user. I love Grain, and please put me in that beta. I got super.io, chick me in. And I'll show you why I love what Grain does, because you'll see a use case that would be very exceptional and combine these two things together. What's really happening, and you can see this in the marketplace from Clary buying Groove, is there has been a consolidation for us. How are we solving for the CRO? I personally believe that the best way to solve for the CRO will be with a CRM that has a consolidated data where all the data is in one place, so you can tell the right story, so you can get forecasts, so you can do analytics. All you've seen is really the ability to execute on that. And there's going to be a convergence inside HubSpot, is my belief. So thus, where does Supered fit within that framework? That's what I'm going to show you today. We'll talk through that. At the same time, I believe there's a Hubolution. I'm sure I'm a Hubolution. I also think there's a complete change to how sales enablement, sales empowerment, sales enforcement, we're going to call it, is going to occur for the modern CRO and the modern sales team. That is one where learning is done, where in the moment you are doing while you're doing. So it's equipping people where they work, while they work, and telling them the next thing to do. We call it guided selling. So what Super does is it's able to guide selling. So what does that look like? How does it work? And if you want to go, there's all this stuff you're going to see today is all on super.io. You go in, you can see these up and running. What this looks like. I have a test with a lot of things wrong. Is what I like to call this one. And what you're seeing here, just as a point.
Stop describing my deal records, Matt.
Yeah. I'm actually in Wendt Partners. I'm in one of their deal records. Test with a lot of things wrong. So what you'll notice here, this is simple use cases, but I think it drives home the point, is you can take your entire sales process and without necessarily teaching someone, they could dive straight in. You could have a record and teach them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it as they progress through the deal. A guided experience. So example, I'm looking at this. There are 8 records. You can serve these errors. You can serve warnings. You can serve notifications based on any contact record. Even a note that was generated from Grain that talks about your competitors could serve up, hey, use this deck, use this sequence. So let me show you. So all I'm doing, this is real time. If you're missing a forecast category, I push pipeline. You'll see the record will in real time change. If I put in next step, like this is the next step. Here are the amounts. I'm gonna put a big amount. I push save. That is saved. Let's now, you're saying I'm missing a contact, and you essentially create a list. So I'm going to go through this. So you're seeing a little bit, because right now we're just doing same object validation, but let me go into super.io. Let's put me, get rid of our faces, next, save. So the things you'll start saying close dates missing. I'll update the close date. So what you're saying is you're able to start enforcing behaviors, but you can do complex if-then logic. So this is saying, hey, based on our analytics, based on what we know works, that we have a warning because this is single threaded. And we know that you need 2 contacts on a larger deal. You could put more context here on what that is.
3.
And if you're like, why do I need, what is single threaded? Do I need to be like, what is multi-thread? What does this mean? You can put in a knowledge-based document directly in that has videos, that has descriptions on what that looks like. And you can put that directly in. So you're training at the point of need where sales teams are working.
So Matt, just to clarify, we are inside a deal record inside HubSpot Sales Hub and HubSpot CRM. And right. Supered is providing this overlay, basically this invisible super layer. Okay. And you can see that Supered is in here because it's got those little icons that are in the really bright purple, the Supered purple. But in addition, it's actually analyzing this record against sales process best practices that we've chosen to implement in this company or in this environment. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So these are what we call process rules. This is probably the thing that people are most excited about. It is this ability to dynamically serve errors in content inside a CRM. So you see this here. And then you can have content. I'm going to go one session. This does not exist anywhere inside HubSpot today. And it's cross object validation. You can technically do cross object. So this is, hey, I am missing a champion. So when you think about what does this mean? This means you can put like spiced, med pick, specific sales methodologies that have scoring. And I now need to have a label. I don't know how to do a label. You could say, here's why this matters. Here's what we use. This is our methodology. You go to more, edit associations, champion, update. That will change. So that comes off. You now have your label. You can do things like, hey, you're missing a next task. You can make sure you always have a task that's open. Like small things where you can guide people on what's doing next. And even to the point, even to the point of I have a note. And so this is where Sandler sells like upfront contract. So maybe you have, this is what I mean. The beautiful thing about Grain, I didn't know existed, Mike. If you put me in beta, we could have had something live here is let's say I had a note and I was looking for specific terms. And if that term happened, I need to say, hey, you missed it or you need to provide it. So let's pretend we said upfront contract. And did you include the upfront contract as part of your discovery call? Make that. So inside the note that was generated by Grain, you have your UFC or those words, you push save. Now this error is going to go away.
So it's actually able to look at the text is what you're saying. It's not just field data, it's text in the record.
Anything inside, you can cross object validation on anything. And so that's where the power is. This is not, you're getting to the human. How do you make AI work at the human level to guide processes and train them as they go? And so this is the connected tissue of how you're solving the CRO. So that is, this is process rules as you're seeing it, but you can go one step further. What if I want to embed videos? I want to do celebrations. I want to do something that I'm guiding behavior. So I start to turn this video game like, right? Especially with remote workflow forces. How do I ensuring things are happening? So let's say I went to a one of my favorite content creators. I don't know if this says anything about me. One of my favorite is here. You can put videos or GIFs when something's won. So you have like, hey, you're celebrating like corporate bro, way to win. This closed one deal. So at different. So the point is at different, you can really slice this anyway and dynamically serve content directly in your CRM where your reps are living. Process rules. There's one step more that there's really two other things you can do. I'm going to get rid of this so that it's not sitting here the whole time. So let me move back. So it's not distracting. The other 2 points of Supered is you're not always going to serve the right content at the right time. I might forget, man, I know I have to do an approval and I don't remember how. Or I know that I need to ask, I need a discount, but I don't remember how to ask for a discount process. I forgot how to do something. But you can't clone yourself. Like you can't be in the room with every single person. Yes, you can. Supered. What does that mean? You have a full knowledge base document that's listed here. And if you look, hey, this video is actually inside your knowledge base. And if I had a question like, how do I create a view? You can create cards that are searchable, and it also searches HubSpots. So you'll notice this here is a video that I made on how to create a view inside. That's a video telling you how that I can watch while I'm here. But it's also if you didn't have something, it goes to the entire knowledge base of HubSpot in real time where you can ask it. So you can pick up what I need to do. So if I want to make a call, it has the entire knowledge base right here.
So you're allowing the client to, as part of their CRM implementation, bake their process in and build a searchable and an in-app knowledge base library that takes all the HubSpot standard information and resources, and then allows us to build customized content on top.
Correct. It goes one step further. So you can also put them in strategic locations. So contracts say, I can't remember what each one of these stages looks like. You can put them in any location. So you can say any common definitions, you can define them. You can select different apps. So like this is what is the next step field? Here's how you should do it. Here's how I want it every single time with your sales team. Here's how I want this written. And here's my expectations.
Super cool.
And then this overlay is not just HubSpot. Not just HubSpot. It can exist anywhere. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna go to you can technically have this work on any platform. So I could have this work on this overlay with the right sidebar and this pipeline. I could have work on Asana, ClickUp, Salesforce, we don't talk about that word, but like any other platform, you could put it on Grain, right? Of how to use it, how to use the library, and you can put your entire processes across platforms so your entire team can use it.
So as we build our sales stack on the HubSpot platform operating environment, we can apply Super's rules, processes, knowledge base, and definitions in any of those platforms.
Correct. So it's as simple as, and so we're putting this here. I have a Loom video. I'm gonna make a card real quick as a finalization. All you do is you take an extension, and this can work in anything. You just take a URL. So say, hey, let's pretend that I'm literally going to do this live. I'm going to take my LinkedIn, right? Let's say, hey, Matt, I want to put something on LinkedIn news, and I want every one of my reps to know how to use Sales Navigator or LinkedIn, right? And I want to put it on LinkedIn to teach them how to use it. Example. So I can take this. I'm going to take LinkedIn. I'm going to take the LinkedIn feed, put it into settings, put it right here. I'm going to make sure this works. I've never done this live. This is the worst thing to do. But I'm going to put save. Now, if I refresh, you're going to see on the right side, there's now Super will be, Super's now on the right side right here. So it can work on any platform. And now let's say I want to put something in line. I can take LinkedIn news right here. I can go inside of the settings, go to a card, let's go to a demo card. Don't have anything in it. Create a card, LinkedIn news, write something, create, do this, embed the card, save, go to LinkedIn, refresh, and you can do that on any platform on the internet. And there's LinkedIn with a how to use LinkedIn news. So this is what I'm saying. This goes across, while it's built for HubSpot, it really is the ability to be an overlay across any of the platforms your revenue teams are using with a specialization inside HubSpot. So that's it, Doug. That's it for me.
Seacrest out, man. That was incredible. Matt, we've got a couple of really good questions that members of our attendee community have asked. One is, how complex is it to build the rules that you want? I know you actually just showed an example of that, but if we want to dig into that again, and what are the challenges unique to users who are changing processes quickly or changing requirements quickly? So maybe they're in an industry where, you know, a new regulation comes in. Maybe they're in construction. There's a new uniform construction code requirement, and now it changes their sales process. They got to implement that change by Tuesday. Let's talk a little bit about speed. And then another question to follow up is, since this is providing this powerful overlay in the cloud application world, what are your thoughts and what are your commitments in terms of IT security, information security, and so forth? Both great questions. Back to you, Matt.
Yes, so much. I'm gonna answer them as much as I can. So I have pulled up the back end, but number one, I'm gonna address this. Your CRM is a product. And the end state of a product is that users are adopting it. And the reality is, the more complicated you get, the faster you have growth, your process changes. So even if you change quickly, Super allows you to change even faster because you can send notifications that something changed. So it's upcoming, and beta is the ability to produce an announcement. Boom, as soon as they log in, announcement, this sales process changed. And you actually can get faster change because you can deliver the notifications of where the change occurred than if you didn't have it at all. So I'd be like, actually, that's a benefit to how you'd use it. Number two, we're going through SOC 2 right now. And so it's just built in that way. It also doesn't, what I've shown you doesn't actually touch the data in any significant way. But we're going through SOC 2, period. Now, number three, how easy is it to do these? If you can build a list inside HubSpot, you can build process rules. So example, let's go to this missing contact with champion. How does that look? So it is, I have a champion. You see it's an error. We have tags at deal health. If I click inside of it, here's the text. Here's the card you connect it with. And in the back end, here's the logic. And you simply say associated with, no matching, contact that has a label of champion. That simple. And it will serve that every time this has a matching function. If you want to, and these are really easy to build.
So easy to build, easy to administer. You're going through SOC 2 certification for IT and data security. And in addition, you're about to release in a future near-term release announcement functionality to draw attention or flags to real-time process changes for users.
Exactly, because it is, how do I tell people when something changes so you can have change management?
Nailed it. Guess what? We have a question for Mike about grain, and maybe this is applicable for all of us for that matter. I think it is. So Kevin asked, is grain available only in English, or are there other languages available for transcripts and other components?
Yeah, so we all of the components in the site are in English, but we do have the ability to translate, do the transcription. Sorry, it won't translate. So if it's like spoken in English, it's not going to translate the transcript to, Spanish.
Right.
But if it's spoken in Spanish, Grain does have the ability to recognize and transcribe in Spanish. So while the like application and the buttons and everything in Grain will be in English, you can actually have the content, the AI powered note outputs can be in Spanish because the transcript is in Spanish, as long as the meeting is spoken in Spanish. We don't yet have the ability, and this is something we'll probably work on the next 6 months, to have like a recognition of, especially like Spanglish, right? Or like when you're going back and forth between languages, being able to basically make it consistent. And so the English, say you want your output to be in Spanish, but it's a mix of English and Spanish. That's something that we would do in the future. So right now, if like the entirety of the meeting is in one language, you can change that to the transcript to be in that language, and then therefore like the AI outputs and workflows can be in that native language as well. Good question.
Spectacular. Thank you, Mike. Matt, what are your thoughts on Supered in a multilingual environment?
It works.
That was simple.
So we have,
done.
we have one of our largest. We have a partner. They are they just hit Elite 100 Inc. and they are the largest Japanese first language, and everything in like HubSpot is in Japanese, and it works. Everything you saw works in Japanese characters, so it already works, or it's already localized based on the needs that you have. Now the user face when you're inside of it requires English to go, but like the delivery to sales reps or people that are getting it is all in the language that you want it to activate on.
That's spectacular. Great. And by the way, just for those, just to make sure that we answer that question and its implications, HubSpot's available in 14 languages today across the entire platform. So HubSpot supports a multilingual environment. By the way, so does HubSpot Content Management System. In fact, we've had some clients move over to HubSpot in part specifically because HubSpot's data structure in marketing automation and content management, both on the web and outside the web, allows for a really powerful multilingual operating environment. So I think we're on a really, really good track here, because all business today basically is borderless. There's no doubt about that. We ourselves are delivering services in English, Spanish, and French. And it's good to know that our partners are addressing the realities of a world in which, business English is the primary tool for the user, but our customers are in a multilingual, multicultural world. So thank you both for that. So we are down to just a couple of minutes left, and what I'd like to do is just kind of summarize what we were trying to achieve here and where things are going. So what we were trying to communicate in this webinar is really, I think, two essential messages. Number one, AI is here, it's real, and it's having an impact in many, many more ways than we're aware of, a positive impact. Both of the tools that we've highlighted here, in addition to HubSpot itself, are providing AI-powered capabilities that don't require you to even think about it. It's just doing it for you. In addition, for those places where you do want to tell the system, I'm going to press this button, I'm going to give you this input, please help me do this thing, that is also happening across the board. The other message that we wanted to communicate is that HubSpot is a platform, and we operate in a platform world. Both Mike and Matt have made strategic and major investment commitments to developing their applications to supercharge HubSpot CRM users and HubSpot customer success. And that is really the theme this year. Speaking of the theme, next in a week and a half, actually, we're going to be at Inbound, which is HubSpot's annual conference. So within the next few weeks, there'll be significant additional announcements from HubSpot. And in fact, stay tuned, because our September webinar, Wendt Partners webinar, will be on the theme of HubSpot's continued announcements and new product updates. So with that, I'm going to say thank you to Mike. Thank you to Matt. Wow, we covered a lot of ground today. Looking forward to our continued partnerships together. Thanks to everybody who attended. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next month for our next Wendt Partners web event. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye now.